What a save, my guy!
Welcome back again. I hope everyone's having a lovely evening or night or whatever time of day it is in your time zone. We have another match coming up. This is our last one for today, sort of short on Ori for the day, but that's okay. This match is between CheeseLover and Mad Insane out of the Near division. On commentary, my name is Gramelios, and I'm joined by Flux. Hey, Flux.
How are you doing? I'm doing all right and ready for what should be a pretty good Ori race today.
I agree. As you can see from the numbers, but just in case you don't feel like reading numbers, CheeseLover is seed number 8. So out of 71 entrants, seed number 8 is pretty freaking good. And Mad Insane is seed number 40. So Cheese going into this thing definitely has a pretty strong advantage. Certainly he would be favored to win. It's always possible that we could see an upset, but
what happened with CheeseLover's previous match, as you can see on the bracket.
That's right. Anything could happen, but we will probably expect Cheese to run away with this, but we will find out. To go into some more details, Flux, do you want to introduce us to Cheese?
Why, yes, I would. And as you can see, CheeseLover, seed number 8, his current PB is a 3109.
It's actually a 3048.
Yes, I was about to say, that's what it says here, but he has improved that, I believe, just earlier today. Did he say, or recently?
I don't know how recent it was, but we just know that he has improved it recently enough that the information provided to us to fill out this little stats sheet here,
yes,
is inaccurate, because as we've mentioned in other tournament matches, people tend to get better over the course of a tournament due to practice, and so they just get better and better.
Thank you for that update. It just says recently. Love that. But yes, Cheese. Both runners will be on keyboard mouse. And Cheese is the top runner from New Zealand. And as you can see from his little graph there, he should be expected to do pretty well. Although he has, other than the PBing recently, he hasn't done a lot of runs. So he might be a little bit rusty by comparison, but he still has a pretty hefty advantage, I would say.
That's right. And on the other side, we have Mad Insane, who has a PB of 3621, which he got only 2 days ago. As I said, people over the course of a tournament like this, they tend to just PB over and over. We have Mad Insane playing on keyboard mouse as well, so we don't have any input discrepancies between the two runners. And we got a lot of other information. Both Cheese and Mad Insane were nice enough to give us little paragraphs about their goals and little areas they're worried about. Those are all pieces of information that we'll bring up as the race progresses, but the TLDR of this situation is that CheeseLover's PB is almost 6 minutes-ish faster than Mad Insane, as you can see by the seed numbers. So Cheese would be favored to win this, but as you mentioned, Flux, Cheese is a little bit rusty, so we'll see how that plays into things, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Anything particularly interesting you might expect out of the early game? It looks like we'll be getting started very shortly.
Well, and there's the swoosh as we go into our main event here.
Presentation screen, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
The main event.
And we are getting started here. And yes, as early game is, especially really early, it's fairly basic, so I don't expect to see too much difference between the two runners, but they're very minor things that can just add up depending on exactly how smooth one person's movement is compared to the other. So
yeah, that's right. There's always different. There's always different definitions of the early game as well. Like you're completely correct, Flux, and what you meant with early game is specifically like from the starting point heading up to sign, there's very little you can do. Really the only mistake you can make apart from dying to the rhino or something is hitting the little diving board log on the way down, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So from here to wall jump, there is certainly a lot more potential for variance.
Yes. And again, I wouldn't say any of it would be huge time losses, but it's a lot easier to do. And As you can see, those explosions happen pretty much right in sync with each other.
That's right. So as always, we'll be taking out this first group of 3 Frankies that sort of come out of nowhere and ambush you. Notice they were not here just a moment ago. Streams are practically tied, which is not unexpected. Flux, I want to ask you a question about this section. What do you think are some of the... Yeah, little fall by Mad Insane. What do you think are some of the major risks facing these runners as they approach wall jump?
Well, again, it's like, as you say, there's a lot more potential for mess ups here and there in this part between going to wall jump. Never a good day to jump when you have a death before wall jump, but it can definitely happen very easily, especially with some particular points here. It's like you don't have a lot of energy at this part of the game. Well, energy, that's for saves, but you don't have a lot of that either, but you also don't have a lot of health.
That's true. You don't have a lot of things. Mad Insane was a little bit bullied by those slimes. Oh my god, barely dodged that one. It's kind of okay. CheeseLover got his Ghost Sword death out of the way, and Mad Insane is getting his too. Looks like a 2 health Ghost Sword rather than 1. So Mad Insane would have actually been fine if he had taken a hit from that slime projectile, but thankfully he did not. So CheeseLover on the left has opened up just a very slight lead of only a handful of seconds approaching health cell number 4.
Yes, and they're both getting this first health cell. But I believe Cheese will be getting 6 health cells. Mad Insane will be going for 5 unless he gets really far behind, in which case he says he will take a 6th.
That's right. And CheeseLover is also going to go for 6. I hope I'm not repeating what you just said.
Yeah, I did just say that. Sorry.
Sorry. CheeseLover usually goes for 5, being as skilled as he is at this video game, but he's going to be going for 6 because it doesn't lose you a lot of time. And what the heck, it's a little bit safer. So Cheese is dropping
tournament
down
safety is... Yes.
Exactly. Yep. Tournament safety is very important. As we've mentioned in previous races as well, it does not matter what time you get in these races. All that matters is that you win.
Yes.
By any means necessary, but don't do anything violent or anything like that, please.
Yep. Yes. Yeah, that's an image. But no. And Cheese getting up to the wall jump tree, and Mad Insane just a little bit of a pseudo cutscene behind. Again, it just kind of makes you wait there even with the UI off, but
still a pretty solid start on both sides, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's very close so far, especially with how much time you can lose on even some of the other tricks that could still be considered early game by whatever definitions you choose to use.
That's right. Well,
Frankie Walk in particular could lose you a lot of time if you mess that up.
Agreed. Ori as a speed game, which I suppose can be said about any speed game, is really split up into the individual big name tricks, things like Sorrow Bash and Swamp Entry, the really hard stuff, but then also to a lesser extent, just every individual jump. It's how fast are you jumping up walls? How tightly are you maneuvering around these spikes? And those are some of the differences that you might see out of someone like CheeseLover on the left. If you pay close attention, you'll probably see just a little bit more precision all around in the way that he moves throughout the world, something that might let him gain sort of more and more time over Mad Insane, assuming no major mistakes on either side.
Yeah, definitely. It's just that's what separates a 30-minute PB from a 36-minute PB, is just slight optimizations here and there that just add up over the course of the entire run.
That is correct. CheeseLover is through his save anywhere, has to sort of walk slowly through the slow zone. Cheese also did pick up Magnet, which is not unexpected or anything, or even particularly noteworthy, but he did pick up Magnet, makes getting experience in this area easier at the potential risk that if you're too high on experience, then you have to intentionally avoid killing a slime. But Cheese is experienced enough that one way or another, he's going to know how to deal with the situation.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And taking a bit of a safety save here before these spikes, which is not a bad idea by any stretch, because it's easy to fall into those spikes just from having weird platforms bouncing up and down and take a quick death. And so didn't seem like he needed to, but it's still dropping another safety save there before another high-risk section.
Yeah, there are many of these little isolated high-risk sections, and I think it's a very intelligent choice to make the safety saves. Cheese did not have a safety save before that section on the bottom. I would expect Mad Insane to make the save. He also did not, so Mad is going to have to be very, very careful. CheeseLover was wiggling his mouse around. He did get his cycle. That's good. That's good news.
Yes, BRB being a very cycle-based part of the run. Ooh, and Mad Insane taking it. Ooh, that is a fairly costly death there because he had not saved at all in Blackroot Burrows.
That's a great point, Flux. It is sort of unusual, to be honest, to not see the safety save. I'm sure Mad, maybe he just forgot to, maybe he thought that he didn't need the safety save. But if he had made a safety save, it would have sent him only back to the start of that little area with all the lanterns. But that's going to be quite costly. CheeseLover was already in the lead, but now Mad is even further behind.
Yeah, and that's definitely not a good place to be. But and again, that just goes to show it's like the value of making safety saves at the right time, especially because a lot of things can kill you very quickly, especially those instant death lasers that are what caused Mad Insane to be dying in the first place.
That's right. Mad Insane, by the way, did take a bit of damage, but that's okay because he got his health refilled from the level up.
And he drops a safety save here, so that is a bit of a relief as well.
Man, Mad Insane is just getting bullied by all these little projectiles shot by the enemies. Got hit again, so Mad Insane is going to have to be a little bit careful. He should be fine, excuse me, since the lasers are insta-kill, and there's not a lot else that will deal just straight damage to you apart from the slimes. So yeah. Mad should be okay, assuming he doesn't take a nasty fall.
Yeah, and he is through and made his cycles well, and CheeseLover has dash and is heading out to start his Frankie Walk.
Frankie Walk is something you mentioned earlier, Flux. Can you sort of remind us why this trick is important to the run?
This is basically one of the first major sequence breaks of the run. Basically, we are going to abuse a timed level up in order to open a door that we need more energy to open than we can currently hold at once.
That is correct. That's a nice quick description of it too. So CheeseLover, if you pay attention to the left side, is going to be coming up on that aforementioned door. Momentarily, you can see it takes 4 energy to open, but we only have 2. But we're going to cast a magic trick, and like so, we are through the door. Cheese then has to make it through the Death Gauntlet. Looks like he's deciding to just dash into the water and duck quickly underneath that Frankie. Well done. We'll also see Cheese is going for the Death Glide. Well done, and taking no damage. Nice.
Yes, that is very well done, Death Gauntlet. That is the reason why Frankie Walk is potentially dangerous, rather more so than the actual Frankie Walk itself, is because you can die very quickly.
That's right. So on the left, Cheese gets Grotto Cycle 66% of the time, every time. Yep, there it is. Easy peasy. So that's going to be an 8-second save for CheeseLover. Not save compared to his PB, since I'm sure he probably got it on the PB as well. But if Mad Insane misses it when he gets to that same location, that's going to be an 8-second loss for Mad Insane. Remember that Mad is already pretty far behind and was at a disadvantage going into this thing. So the fact that Mad Insane is in second place is not anything to be alarmed about. It's just something, I guess, to be aware of.
Yes. And CheeseLover getting the double jump tree and going for some blind movement afterwards, which, again, a runner of his caliber should be very well experienced with doing that. But it's always a little bit spooky to see, no matter how experienced it is.
That's right, but as you said, CheeseLover got through it just fine. Let's pay attention to the right side, though. On the right side, Mad Insane got through his Frankie door, which means his experience was correct to level up, and he's going to be making his way through this Death Gauntlet just like Cheese did, whereas Cheese on the left is going to do another quick jump in order to do something known as a Grotto Skip. Nice and clean first try.
Very good. Clean first try. At first time, every time.
Exactly.
Except not really, because even experienced runners can get trolled by that pretty often.
They can, but we did not see it today. So on the right side, Mad Insane is going to quickly come up to his Grotto Cycle. He said he's only gotten this one other time before, so would be very thrilled to get it today. Almost.
Almost, but fortunately did not get killed by that, because if you're just a frame too slow, you can get smashed right against that corner, and that is a very sad time.
That's right. So as I was saying, Mad Insane is admittedly not very consistent at that trick, but it costs you almost nothing to attempt. As you said, there's a possibility that you'll die, but thankfully did not happen today. This death by Mad Insane is intentional to perform a Ghost Door. So Mad Insane is going to be very shortly coming up on his double jump and presumably the blind movement as well, whereas Cheese is coming up out of Moon Grotto heading towards dungeon number 1, the Ginso Tree.
Yes, and the Ginso Tree is probably where I would say I don't know the exact definitions that you're using, but I would say Ginso tree is probably a good point to say. It's like roughly now is where CheeseLover would be transitioning from early game to more mid-game type places, is around Ginso tree and right afterwards.
That's probably fair. I'm in the mood to start an argument. Is it pronounced Ginso or Jinso? Everyone type 1 if it's Ginso, type 2 if it's Jinso, type 3 if you think it's a stupid discussion. I've completely derailed us, and I take full responsibility for that.
Is it pronounced GIF or GIF?
That's the age-old question. And speaking of, I don't know what in the world transition I was doing there. Matt Insane is that his grotto skip did not get it first try, did get it second try. So not quite as fast as CheeseLover, but still a nice, clean execution.
Yes, it doesn't lose you much time to miss it once or twice. It's just the fact that if you miss it once or twice, you often miss it more than once or twice.
Right. There's a term that we like to use in this speedrun, which can be applied to other runs as well. That term is infinited. If we say that someone is being infinited by a trick, it means they're kind of getting in their own head and just letting a trick conquer them over and over and over. And thankfully, that did not happen to Mad Insane.
Happens to me a lot in this run, but as you might have noticed, CheeseLover had a personal goal time for getting into Ginso of 12:20, I believe, and he managed to beat that by about 5 seconds. So he is on a pretty good pace for what his expectations were.
That's right, and that's actually a solid transition into something we did not mention before, and that's that apart from that 12:20 goal of entering Ginso, Cheese said that his goal today is to get a sub 32. I mean, all else equal, obviously he just wants to get as fast a time as possible, but given that by his own admission he's a little bit rusty, he'll be happy to get a sub 32.
Yes. But he also said that even if he does not get that, he will be happy if he wins. So he will not be beating himself up for missing a sub 32, even if he wins the race. So that's also good to hear as well.
That's right. Mad Insane is having trouble with his jump. I'm going to immediately direct attention. Let's pay attention to CheeseLover on the left. He's taking out the mini-boss.
Yes, and this mini-boss can troll you pretty easily because there is actually some slight RNG to where it will spawn, and that is never a good time. Ooh, reads the boss pretty well and gets it right over there, even though that's probably one of the worst places it can choose to spawn.
That's right. It definitely is the worst. So with that, Cheese will be coming up on Bash very shortly. I do want to quickly take a moment to reiterate something that we mentioned when we were introducing the two runners, and that's that Mad Insane hasn't had a lot of time to practice recently despite getting a recent PB. So some of these points of minor spaghetti, like having some issues with the wall climbing in various spots, could just be due to a little bit of rust. Yeah,
I mean, you're saying CheeseLover was a bit more rusty overall in terms of having recent runs completed, but Mad Insane also has had a bit of rust and spaghetti lately as well. So
I mean, it's just something about Ori. Like, there's very, very little downtime in this run. Almost every single movement has to be premeditated and just very, very carefully planned out. Cheese took some damage, by the way. Hopefully he'll be okay. So that means that if you're just even a little bit rusty, sometimes that muscle memory can be just the 1% off that makes you miss a handful of the jumps. And that's kind of what we're seeing from Mad Insane. Nothing catastrophic or anything, just small errors.
Yeah, and that is a good way to describe Ori as a speedrun in general. You just have... Everything is just so precise that you can lose a lot of time compared to what your best run is without even messing up much at all. You can be losing a lot of time just off of really minor things.
Well, I'll say this, Flux. Even though CheeseLover said he's rusty, he isn't playing like it. He just got a very, very clean first try key dupe. Also got a first try grotto skip earlier. I'm trying to think back on the run. What mistakes has Cheese made so far? Has he made any?
I don't believe
grotto cycle.
Yeah, I don't believe he's made any like particular mistakes, and it might just be that he was saying that, oh, I'm rusty, and it's like because everybody is always underselling themselves a little bit. But
now here's another important point though. By saying that Cheese hasn't made any mistakes, we have cursed the run. So to counteract that, Cheese is definitely going to take a lot of deaths, and he's going to get like a 40 or something. Now that we've said that, he's guaranteed to get a good time. He's counteracted the mojo magic.
But because you said that he's guaranteed a good time, you've cursed it again, so...
That's right. I want to quickly check in with Madison on the right side, who is well into taking out this annoying little worm bro, the mini boss. The spawns are trolling him just a hair, but with Madden having the squirrel shooting, it'll be gone before too long. And then don't blink, because the second that Madden is done with this mini boss, flip your eyes to the other side of the screen and pay attention to CheeseLover doing this swamp entry. Did take a dip in the water, but she should be okay since he'll probably be doing double bash strats. Yeah, so he's okay.
Yeah, keyboard and mouse has the luxury of having that extra bind to make double bashing. Takes a little bit of a bad bash first try and is now another missed bash, double bash, and the frog is running away from him, and he's frustratingly circling his mouse around the screen to wait for it to come back. Now he's doing the double bashing and gets it in. Third try, I believe. Still pretty clean overall because he didn't lose a lot of time to having to set up the thing again.
It's also nice that Cheese didn't kill the frog. There are multiple ways to fail that trick, and in my opinion, killing the frog is worse. You can always just bait more shots if you need them, even if it's slow. So good job by Cheese to pull that out, even though it was a little bit slow. That's maybe the first mistake that he's made so far, but Cheese is going to be coming up to his stomp tree just a moment. Nice D-boost to get across there, whereas Madden has made his way to bash. So Cheese, when Cheese was at his key dupe, he got it first try. Let's see if Madden can match that. He'll be coming up to the key dupe location very shortly.
And Madden also doing a bit of double bashes, showing off that, yes, he is also playing on keyboard and mouse. But yes.
Okay, well, deep breaths, everyone. We have a lot of run to go. If everyone's feeling tired and nervous and scared, it's okay. We have even more scary parts coming up very shortly. CheeseLover is making his way out of swamp. The next obstacle is this frog named Ringo, which we've seen once before, but we're going to use him again now for different purposes.
Using that double bashing again just to get that set up a little bit easier and gets that ability cell, no problem.
That's right. So good job by him. Let's also pay attention to Cheese on the left, who's coming up to his Kuro cutscene skip. As always, this is a precise cutscene skip, well done. If done correctly, as CheeseLover just did, it doesn't look like anything happens. But that's actually like pretty important. If you miss that cutscene skip, it immediately loses you like, what is it, 17 seconds or something?
Yes, 17 seconds, exactly.
Yeah. I'll also quickly point out that Cheese went out of his way to get health cell number 5 at the Spider Coves, because as we mentioned earlier, Cheese is going to be going for a total of 6 health before the run is out. That's a health cell that I assume he would usually skip.
Ooh, and that was a bit of a spooky stomp stall, I believe, was what he did to get over those instant death spikes. When you're stomping right over instant death spikes, that is never comfortable.
You are not wrong.
And the Frankie followed him down into the charged flame tree area, so he'd be perfectly set up to boost right on back up out of there. And
that's right. So I want to pay attention now to Mad Insane. Mad Insane is going to do some blind movement before taking his swamp entry. I also want to quickly point out that Mad did go out of his way to get a 200 experience orb, which indicates that he'll be doing the early charge dash routes. That's sort of your red flag for that trick.
Yes.
We also saw Mad Insane drop a safety save, which is smart before the frog.
Amount of love for double bashes, 100%. Gotta love double bashes. Unless you're a controller player, in which case...
I will politely disagree and not cause another argument.
Yeah. Well,
anyway, nice job by Mad Insane.
Let me clarify. You gotta love double bashes when they're performed correctly.
I cannot disagree with that. So good job by Mad Insane to get through a very, very quick swamp entry. He's going to be heading towards swamp. Well, he's in swamp. He's going to be heading towards his stomp tree very, very shortly as well. Whereas CheeseLover, we just sort of have tricks going back and forth this entire run. There's very little downtime, as I said. So Cheese is coming up on Fast Stompless.
Yes, and Fast Stompless is another pretty big trick, although it has... Yep, and it says has not missed Stompless this tournament. That is going to be an interesting metric to see if he can keep that up.
Shot looks good to me, although as we've determined, it is impossible to tell. He's going to go up, get the cell. Perfect.
Grabs the cell, gets the stomp, or lack of a stomp, even though it seemed to put Ori in the cutscene for the stomp anyway, because the game doesn't expect you to get that with the shot. It's just a weird trick all in all.
With this flux, with Cheese about to pick up Feather, we have some other very interesting tricks coming up, don't we?
Yes, and the main one being, he is going to be. Ooh, that's an interesting experience grab from Mad
The experience
Insane.
from Mad Insane is indicative of that early charge dash route. That's why he got that.
Yes, I am not as familiar with that route, but CheeseLover doing a little bit of a rocket jump and leading that straight into Sorrow Bash, which is probably one of the more advanced tricks of the run. Gets it pretty cleanly. Nice job, Cheese.
Cheese is just continuing this trend of having very, very clean play. To be honest, it makes it almost difficult to commentate because he isn't really giving us, interesting points. So Cheese, don't listen to me, but if you did make a mistake, it would give us something to talk about. Don't make any mistakes. Okay, so Cheese is doing great heading towards charge jump. Nice job navigating all those spikes, which would actually not be insta-kill at this point in the run since Cheese has 5 health rather than 4, but they're still pretty scary.
Yes, definitely pretty scary. And again, one of the other things is the more you mess up, the more time people have to talk about things. So
that's right. I'll also quickly point out that on the right side, Mad Insane a little bit ago did get a very nice first try curve cutscene skip, which even though it's in the past now, I think is just worth mentioning. It's very cool to get that trick. It's very nice.
Yes, it is. Very precise setup, so getting past that and just being able to just move on right away, just pretty nice.
That's right. So CheeseLover opened up a save anywhere, took a save in midair to perform his Terror Break. It's not a hard trick. It's just one that's very important. It allows us to skip some alternate ways to break that upper barricade. This one is by far the easiest and I'd say the least error-prone compared to the other methods, which is going to lead Cheese straight to the Sunstone. We're going to need that item to enter the third dungeon of the game way later in the run, but we're just going to sort of collect it now for safekeeping.
Yes, we have to enter 2 of the dungeons. We complete none of them, basically, because we ducked out of Ginso before we even finished it, and we will be skipping basically all of the final dungeon when we get to there.
That's right. So Cheese is going to be exiting Sorrow and then heading into Misty. There's not a lot to say on Cheese's side right now in terms of tricks. It's just going to be a question of execution. Right now, I want to draw attention to the right side because Fast Stompless is a trick that Mad Insane explicitly called out as something that he's been very worried about and has been a little bit inconsistent. So couple that with the fact that he's been a little bit rusty, and I'm just going to sort of cross my fingers and hope for the best here.
Yeah, he was practicing Fast Stompless a bit before the run, so...
That shot looks low to me, to be honest. I don't think that's going to hit, but I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'm not experienced with being able to tell one way or the other, but I would argue... Oh, and he gets it!
Thank you so much for proving me wrong. That's really, really nice to see. Mad Insane, as I said, explicitly called out that trick as one that he would be very happy if he achieved, and he did. So whatever happens overall with the outcome of this race, Mad Insane can be happy that he pulled off that trick. Nice job.
Yes, very good job to Mad Insane on that trick. That is not easy, and messing it up will lose you a lot more time than getting it right will save you.
That's right. So Mad, with that, has Feather, and he has Charge Dash, which he actually got early due to that slight route change. Is going to be heading into his Sorrow Bash very, very quickly. We'll see how quickly he can pull it off. And meanwhile, just to check in, Cheese has made it all the way to Climb. So just really good progress on either side.
Yeah, definitely. And he is also going for the single bird double bash method rather than the single bash double bird method. That
I just want to take a moment and point out how impressive that was. Mad was in a bad position to bash the bird the first time, so he let it hit in order to put it in a better spot rather than fail the trick. I'm pretty sure that was an adaptation on the fly, and if so, that's very impressive under pressure.
Ooh, bashing that shot, he's going to have to do another rocket jump to do that, and gets that time.
That's right. After breaking the barricade, Mad Insane was not able to drop back down and do another rocket jump because he already burned the 1 energy that is allocated to such a task. So he's going to opt for no safety save in this area. Has to make it through these spikes. Nice job not taking damage. He'll be taking an intentional death here for another Ghost Door, and will be grabbing Charge Jump just now. Whereas Cheese, just while we've been talking, Cheese is just continuing his trade. He's just on a tear right now, showing this game who's boss. Awesome.
Yeah. Like you said, haven't had a whole lot of taking a bit of a death there in the meatballs.
That was a really nice safety save though by Cheese. You can get through this entire area and take no safety saves whatsoever. Looks like the rocket jump went better the second time. So it is really nice that despite that death, Cheese heavily mitigated the time loss through that smart safety save.
Yes, definitely safety saving is very nice to be able to do at well.
Now, Cheese also did take some
that
damage.
caption seems a little bit off because I don't believe he pulled off the bang zoom quite optimally.
He attempted it. The important thing, though, is that Cheese didn't die. Pro tip for anyone who wants to get into running Ori, just don't die, and you'll get pretty good times. It really is that simple.
Yeah, that's often your best way of avoiding time losses. Not even learning any fancy tricks, just not dying.
That's right. So with that, Cheese has 10
not dying and making good safety saves. So if you do die, because you will for a good while, you probably still will, but make good safety saves so that you don't lose as much time.
With that, Cheese is out of Misty Woods. He has 10 out of 11 skills, so he only has one more remaining. We're going to make a revisit to Blackroot Burrows. The kind of major risk in this area, I'd say, is the insta-kill lasers and just making sure that you don't accidentally charge dash into a face full of spikes. Cheese is playing well enough that it's not anything I would expect him to have issues with.
Taking an intentional death there to glitch out that door on the right side, which we will be coming back through and going through that way later. Saves a little bit of time to just kind of glitch it open now.
That's right. And while Cheese is heading towards Light Grenade, I also want to point something else out. And thank you very much. Wilson is on stats, keeping us on our toes with our information. Mad Insane learned Stomp Canceling, I think he said within the past week. So I'm not sure to what extent he's going to use it, but I'll sort of be paying attention to see what Stomp Cancels he decides to pull out. Here's a good opportunity. Looks like he's deciding to just float, but Stomp Cancels are they're not hard to do in isolation. They're hard to do effectively during a run and not burn all your energy.
Yeah, because basically, for anyone who does not know what Stomp Canceling means, there are a few ways that you can cancel a charge dash to refund the energy before it properly burns it, because charge dashing does burn 1 unit of energy per dash, and you can stomp at a very specific time within the charge dash, keep the momentum, but not burn the energy.
That's right. Let's check in with Cheese. Cheese has made it past the boulder, did not die, and that will be health cell number 6, although it's ordinarily health cell number 5. Nice save by Mad Insane, by the way. Almost stomped into his spikes, which might have spelled catastrophe, but instead it spells climb.
Yes. Both start with a C.
That is true. This has been Spelling with Ori, and we'll see you next time. No, just kidding. Not done yet.
This run has been brought to you by the letter C.
Anyways, so Cheese is heading towards Mount Horu, whereas Mad Insane is heading through the second half of Misty. Flux, there's a particular trick in the speedrun that always happens as we approach dungeon number 3. What's it called?
That would be Door Warp.
That's right. Unfortunately, it does not start with the C, but it is frame perfect, so that's, I guess, your consolation prize. The goal here, as always, is to... Okay, a little bit of trouble with his charge dashes, but he is through. As always, the goal here is just to skip the whole dungeon by doing a well-timed input to enter a door, so we'll see if Cheese can pull it off quickly.
Yes, and it's, as you said, it's frame perfect. You have to reload your file and enter the door on the very first frame that you load the file. And if you do it properly, not properly first try, but it's frame perfect. And there goes second try. That's what happened. It loads you in a weird spot. And in this case, it happens to load you right at the end of the dungeon. That's
right. Now, the strange, it's not exactly silver lining, but the sort of good news, depending on your perspective. Nice one. The sort of silver lining, if you want to look at it that way, is that Cheese was already unable to PB, so getting second try door up as opposed to first is not going to cost him a PB or anything. Remember, Death by Mad Insane, remember that CheeseLover's goal was to get a sub 32 in this race, which I believe is still totally possible if he just gets through this cleanly and gets a nice grenade jump.
Yep.
So we'll keep our eyes peeled.
He does, according to things, Mad Insane has stated that he has deaths in his final escape in the run, in his PB, so...
Well, let's pay attention to Cheese. Got through the poison water with the help of 6 health. I'm unclear whether he took 4 or 5 health, but that's okay. He's through, and he has not missed his grenade jump, being the New Zealand professional that he is. Setting up on the wall, he's going to aim a charge dash up. Missed it the first time, although that may have been intentional, hard to tell. I don't think so. Remember that this is another frame perfect input. That's a term that gets thrown around a lot because it's always true, and he is out.
Gets it third jump off the wall, but... fortunately, did not soft lock. And I believe this should likely be a sub 32.
It will totally be a sub 32. So GG to Cheese didn't get a PB, but that was going to be very difficult to do because his PB is really, really good. But GG on achieving his goal of getting a sub 32, and more importantly, taking the win, which means that he will not be eliminated from the tournament and will be advancing. But we'll cover all that bracket stuff later on once Mad Insane is finished.
Yes, and Mad Insane, as you can see, making his way down into Grenade.
That's right. Looks like Mad Insane is deciding to open up a save anywhere moving through this area rather than take the time to place a save later on. It's a strat that you don't see a lot of runners go for, but I guess Mad Insane is not a lot of runners. Okay, could not quite make the Yoka cycle. The frog squished him, though. That hurts.
I believe we are getting confirmation on a time for CheeseLover of a 31:34.
Yep, so nice job by Cheese. This time Mad Insane did not get squished, nor did he get burned to a tiny little Ori crisp, and is instead going to do a nice... I like those moves, by the way, sort of using the burr to do a dash glide out of the air to move through the slow zone. It's a cool strategy. What just happened? I saw him make the safety save on the left side. He must have spent the point early. So this means that Mad Insane is unfortunately going to have to watch this cutscene. Yeah, he must have leveled up early. That's something that I unfortunately missed. And Mad Insane, this is absolutely accidental. Thankfully, Mad Insane already lost, so, you know, this isn't as painful as, like, losing you a race or something, but that sucks. That just really sucks.
Yes, and this is, for the record, the longest cutscene that we have to actively skip during the run. There might be longer cutscenes that we skip just by them not being triggered in the route at all. This is what I believe the longest that we would have to actively work around in this route.
I guess we've got some lore. So for anyone who's interested in the lore behind for anyone who's interested in the lore behind Ori, this is some of it. You get to see Naru, who played with some Oris, but now is getting carried off by his father because his father, her father. We don't really get any further explanation of that, but there's your lore. If anyone's a fan of Dark Souls, there's your Dark Souls moment to get some well-hidden lore in the world.
So are you saying that Ori is the Dark Souls of speedruns? Like,
yes.
That would be Dark Souls speedruns.
Full thump. Okay, so this is cool to see. Mad Insane picked up his final skill, Light Grenade, which, apart from just being a skill that we have to collect anyway to satisfy the category requirements, does unlock the ability to do grenade jumps, and we already saw one successfully out of Mad Insane.
Yes.
I'd expect to see some more before the run's out. Not even including the final one out. I'd expect to see some more before the final.
Yes, and yeah, grenade jumping is definitely one of the more, again, is the main final grenade jump is the main one to worry about, but even the other grenade jumps that don't save as much time or could lose time if you mess them up still look pretty dang cool, if you ask me.
That's right. I do want to point out, remember that we mentioned Mad Insane only learned Stomp Canceling like within the past week or so. So to see them pulled out in a run is cool to see. Again, they're not like an incredibly hard trick or anything. They're just difficult to do consistently. And so it's cool to see them that despite Mad Insane losing this race, I've seen some very, very nice strategies out of him.
Yes, it looks like he did not go for the 6th health cell. Maybe he just decided that he was behind, but not...
Well, this is actually something we knew. Mad Insane said that he was only going to take 6 HP if behind. I mean, he's technically behind, but Mad already lost, so...
Yeah, he already lost, so
he does.
I think, yeah, that was what I was about to say, was that he even though he said he would do it if he was behind, he's probably aware that he's behind enough that
that's right.
He's not
Let's pay attention to Dorok now on Mad Insane's side. Here's his first attempt, and did not get a first try. I believe that CheeseLover got his second try when he was at the same point in the run. Mad Insane did not get a second try either. Thankfully, each miss here doesn't lose you a huge amount of time. It's only a handful of seconds to exit reload again.
Yeah, but again, it's just in that, it's as you said earlier, sometimes it's just missing it once or twice. You can just get infinited by it, and that's unfortunately what appears to be happening now. And as soon as I say that, he gets it.
Nice job. That was the 6th try by Mad Insane. I'm sure not as fast as he was hoping, but he is through to the final escape. Mad Insane only has 5 health. whereas CheeseLover had 6. What that means, yes, correct spelling of 6. Thank you, Richard, you comedian. Mad Insane only has 5 health, which means that he's going to have a harder time getting through the poison water at the end. He's going to have near perfect movement in order to be able to survive, since in the poison water you take 1 point of damage every single second.
Yes, and that is a consequence of skipping the end of the Ginso tree, but the route makes it so getting those extra health cells. Ooh! Fortunately, it seems like that death just kind of not entirely sure what happened there. He must have not.
Well, what happened there is that he accidentally charge dashed, I think, into the wall and then tried to press another button. The rough thing about, I mean, actually this would happen whether you had 5 health or 6 health. If you take any damage from anything in this escape, you basically just have to kill yourself. Because even though it won't kill you outright if you like hit a boulder or something, it does put you at low enough health that you won't be able to survive the poison spell. With 7 health, you have at least leeway for like 1 hit, but with 5 or 6, you do not.
Yes, although that leeway for 1 hit with 7 health only counts for some things that can damage you, some things you can still just have to take it back.
Right, so here's the poison water. We are through the poison water. Well done by Mad. That was a first try poison water when he got there, although it was not a first try attempt to get to the poison water. With that, we're coming up on this final grenade jump. Still has a chance to beat CheeseLover on this particular trick.
And he does.
Well done by Mad Insane as well.
Gets it. First try, no soft lock. And
so GG. GG on both sides. Remember that CheeseLovers. Go ahead.
Yes. I'm saying GG to both sides. All that Mad is having to do is hold right. It actually looks like he didn't quite. It looks like Mad Insane got the grenade jump, but it didn't skip the cutscene.
That is unusual. To be honest, I'm always confused when this kinds of thing happens. It can happen, and it's not the first time we've seen it, nor is it the first time we've seen it in the tournament. But it's just unusual. I never know how to identify it.
Yeah, and it's easy enough to identify where the soft lock will happen because Ori falls a bit too far to the left rather than the full proper arc, but did not soft lock, but still didn't skip the cutscene either.
I will point out, I don't think this is Mad's fault. I mean, it's technically his fault in the sense that it's not RNG dependent or anything, but like that looked fine to me. I don't think that's like a mistake Mad made. That's more or less bad luck.
No, yeah, just
not literally bad luck, but it's bad luck.
Yeah, and we have a final time for Mad Insane of 38:49.
Well, we have our final times 31:34 on the left and 38:49 on the right. I do see CheeseLover hanging out in on deck, so once we are all ready with our audio and whatnot, we'll be pulling him in for an interview. And we'll also see if Mad wants to join us. It's always up to the runners individually whether they want to interview. But I do see CheeseLover in there. Just kidding, I see CheeseLover in here. Hey, Cheese.
Hello.
GG.
Thank you very much. 1 second behind the monthly race.
That's right. I do also see Mad Insane, by the way, up there and on deck. So I'm just going to do this. Hi, Mad.
Hello.
How are you, GG?
Wrong.
Okay, so let's get this interview underway. The first thing I want to ask you is, Cheese, you set out with a goal to get a sub 32, right, for this race?
Yes, yeah.
Are you satisfied with the results, like, coming out of this thing?
I guess so. I mean, it's consistent, so that's not horrible. But I mean, ideally, I would have gotten sub 31 because my PB can be beaten by so much still. But I can't really complain with a 31:34, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I think you also hit your 12:20 again, so I believe you had a 12:15.
Yes, you did.
So I guess GG to you. That wasn't a question. That was just a GG, I suppose. Mad Insane, I want to direct the next question to you. You said you haven't had a lot of time to practice recently, right?
Yeah.
So how do you feel that affected your play? Were there any like particular areas where you felt rough around the edges or anything?
I'm not sure whether that was lack of practice or whether or not that was just some new spectacular form of spaghetti that I've never seen before. But I think maybe if I practiced bit more, then I would have been able to get more consistent, better times. But I'm not sure there was much to save that one.
Sure. Well, Flux, I'll toss to you for the next question.
Yeah, I'd like to ask. While we're talking to Matt, I would like to ask. You mentioned before that you had been having some trouble with fast stompless lately. Are you at least glad that you managed to get that pretty effectively in this race?
Yeah, I was seriously surprised that I managed to get fast stompless. I thought the shot was off, but guess it was close enough.
Yeah. Both of us thought that the shot was a little bit low too, but it worked. So
it did indeed. So good job there. I'll just sort of move along with that loss. Unfortunately, Matt, you are out of the tournament. So a question that I like to ask everyone. I mean, you've been with Ori for quite a while in general, but what are your plans with Ori or just speedrunning in general after today?
I'm probably going to continue grinding some all skills for a while. And then after all skills, I'm going to go for any percent no out of bounds, see if I can get the world record in that.
That sounds awesome. And Cheese, you are not out of the tournament. You are trapped here forever, forced to play matches for our amusement. I want to ask you a question. I could ask you who you would rather face in your next match. So actually, no, I will ask that. I guess you'll be facing either Hunter's Pixel or Steinman. How are you feeling about either of those potential opponents?
Yeah, so I mean, it's probably, you'd assume it's going to be Steinman since his PB is so good. So that will be very scary since he's got such a good PB. So all my next races basically from here on out are going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah, understandable. And I'll close with. Sorry.
I was just saying, assuming I keep on winning.
Totally. And I'll close with sort of a comparable question. I asked Matt Insane what his plans were going forward, even though you still are in the tournament, Cheese. Do you have like a goal for this category in particular, some area where you'd be, or some time where you'd be happy sort of calling it complete, I suppose?
I guess the end goal is a sub 30, if that is ever possible, but my summer best is only 15 seconds in front of that, so it might be a while. Don't know. We'll see how it goes though. That would be the ideal goal, I'd assume.
Totally. Well, Flux, do you have any other questions?
The only question I had left was basically same thing about that was with the PBs. So I don't believe I have any other questions specifically.
Well, thanks for talking to us, both of you. Congrats on the win, Cheese, and just GG to both of you on an entertaining race.
Thank you. GG again.
Thanks.
That's right. We already just talked about the bracket, but just to sort of reiterate one more time, Mad Insane will be eliminated with that loss, and Cheese will be continuing. He will be facing the winner of Pixel versus Steinman when that match takes place. And that is all of the ore that we have for you today, but we actually have a lot of ore tomorrow. There's like, how many matches is it? It's a lot of matches that we have tomorrow and on Saturday. Specifically, the next match we have coming up is actually my match versus Fluffy Prower, which is at 4 p.m. EDT tomorrow.
Yes.
So, you know, if you like Ori, boy, are the next 2 days going to be your best friends.
Yes. Although it actually, there might be another match that has been submitted but hasn't been put into the final schedule yet. That might be earlier than that tomorrow.
As always, you can just sort of keep an eye on the schedule or join Discord if you want to. We're a very welcoming group, even though we're a bunch of dirty, filthy memesters. So anyway, congrats again on the win, Cheese, and Flux. That was fun commentating with you.
Yes, it was absolutely fun to commentate with you as well, and good luck on your race tomorrow.
Thank you, and thank you to Wilson on stats. Wait, why am I being dumb? Who's on stats?
It was Wilson and yes,
Wilson and Poogle were on stats. Wilson and Poogle were on stats, and Richard was our restreamer today. Thank you, both of you, and have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye.
Yes, absolutely.
damage as they head through. So, ooh, nice job. And wow, Yoko. Oh,
No,
my
oh no,
goodness.
Yoko. Oh my goodness. Please be careful.
He hasn't taken any like really bad deaths as a result, but
Oh no!
no! Why did I say that? Why did I say that?
Yeah, true shade. So we're gonna see what Didu decides to do. Nice safety save there, and wow, the value from the safety save.
The trick itself requires precisely positioning a frog and managing your XP, but because that can happen, because that froggy has a chair and it can stomp it right on your tiny little head.
Oh god, no, get out of there!
Holy crap, the recovery from that.
Like, it's deceptive. Ooh, deceptively difficult. Rufus,
Holy
so close.
crap, Rufus.
Oh,
Oh god.
Exit.
And what is happening now?
I don't know.
Oh, Monthly shot going through.
Oh, Cheese missed the double bash though. He's gonna go back up. Monthly's shots are facing the floor. I hope he does not get that on the upper one. Cheese has broken his swamp.
Oh, Monthly getting hit by the shot.
Metal that Terra did. Oh, missing that, but he's got the backup. That's okay. Oh my gosh.
Oh god!
Oh my gosh. Okay, try again. Just this time you can get to the platform.
What you've seen from runners like Lucidus, Uncle Ronnie, and Eviona so far in the tournament, and oh wow! I do not know how he survived.
Both runners getting that 5th.
Oh, Randomson had a really... Wow, what a nice backup, though. Randomson had trouble with the first spider shot, but now it's basically tied.
Go stomp the rocks. And oh,
Fluffy, what
I
are
didn't know you could do that.
Oh,
You really just keep
goodness.
moving and skip that cutscene?
Oh god, Ori's in the air! Hello!
Oh no. Oh, Frankie. Frankie, please go away. Oh, that is so painful.
Oh, this is a party. Luckily, he does have a safety.
Yeah, mini boss not quite going according to plan. Melvin's gonna go with the stomp spam. Keep that frog away. Get out of here. Don't hit me with your chair. He says he gets through it okay, and we'll be just finishing up Misty.
The section is really difficult with the 5 health. Alright, he gets the bash off of the fish. So yeah, he gets through, but upcoming here is...
He's gone through!
Oh, he takes a death! Richard is in the lead. No, they're tied. Richard just died as well. What? This is literally synced in the final escape, guys. Unbelievable.
They both stopped the thing together. Okay.
Each one of those grenades costs 1. He's got 1 left. That's enough for 2 grenade jump attempts. If he keeps missing in that particular way, he's got 1 chance left.
One more.
And he gets it! The
First
clutch.
try, and well, not first try, but you know what? First try.
We'll call it first try.